Meeting the ex may not necessarily be a good thing. For example, Cynthia's ex, James, he showed his entire ass towards Andre and Anthony, and it was uncalled for.
Welcome to Cliff Alerts. Today we're going to be talking about OWN Network's reality-based TV series, Ready to Love, season number 7, episode number 8.
Before we get into it, please like, share, and subscribe. Please click that notification button so you know when we upload new content. And please send your comments. This one is an interesting one. The show was all over the place with the edits and the interactions. So here we go.
Yeah, Tommy convenes the ladies' lounge to give the ladies an assignment for this week because they have the power to eliminate. He instructs the ladies to introduce their exes to the two strongest connections.
Morgan brings Junior. He is her ex. She said their relationship was superficial, yet she brought him forward. I don't know if this is what she dates, but she was clear about it being a superficial relationship.
And
And she was good with that. So, okay, well, I'm good with that too.
Morgan introduces her ex.
Junior went over one particular case where he went out and she discovered he had pictures on the internet. She got upset. When he returned home while he was asleep, she put near in his hair. She said that he had good hair and she was all for destroying it. Again, it tells you who Morgan is.
When she perceives she has been done wrong, she tends to act out in vindictive ways.
That's correct.
And this was an example that I think caught at least one of her potential nexus off guard in the way of Tony. I don't think that he liked hearing that, and I think there was pause from his end about who Morgan really is and what she's really capable of.
Well, he actually said she's a liar when she explained Junior's relationship to him. She did give him all the information. Junior asked Lyndon how he will deal with that event, and Lyndon said, well, his MO is to tell the truth at all times, but the story itself put Morgan in a bad light, and she was giddy about what she had done. She felt justified in doing what she did.
And speaking of bad light, Cynthia chose to invite her ex, James, who happens to be the father of her two kids, to a meeting of her potential nexus.
And James was already set. He was not interested in learning who these men are. He had a response to everything they said, i.e., Andre arrived first, was cordial, greeted Cynthia and James, and James started in on him. He said, told Andre to speak up because he couldn't hear him. He does not know whether Andre is acting or not. He asked him why he was 39 and had no children, if there was a problem. He does not know if he's telling him the truth as it relates to his dating history and how many random relationships he had. He wanted to know that information. Anthony arrived to join the group, but James was interested in grilling Andre. Andre at one point got up and said, he out, he's he started with the questions. So Blake turned his attention on Anthony, and he went through the same thing about what happened in Anthony's broken relationship. Why did it break up? How many random women he has slept with? And all these questions he asked both Andre and Anthony were woefully inappropriate and foul.
To me, this stranger behaved more like a circus clown than an adult.
He did.
For him to come off as antagonistic and insulting to people he doesn't even know speaks of not only him but also Cynthia's selection of him as a quote unquote mate.
One thing's for sure, Any man Cynthia gets at this point going forward, they will have to deal with James because James is the father of Cynthia's children. So he is going to be around
It's almost like he had an agenda, and that agenda was
to
to
run the guys off.
right, exactly, because irrespective of their relationship now, he is he's going to eliminate anything in the way of what he perceives as um future competition for Cynthia.
Anthony decided to exit stage right as well. He said, well, he'll take his number, but he's not going anywhere because he clearly wanted to make sure James knew that he was interested in Cynthia.
Jeffrey decided that it would not be possible for her to locate one of her two exes or fathers of her children. So what she decided to do was meet with two of her three connections at one time, that being Blue and Mark Anthony, and talk to them about her past. Okay, and she had done this with the, I guess, blessing and or permission of uh, nephew Tommy, the show host, because she didn't feel comfortable necessarily, I guess, presumably, in trying to go back and locate these guys because she didn't have a relationship with them.
She said both men walked away from their responsibility, and all she's concerned about is being a mommy. Um, in this particular instance, Jeffrey came across as not sincere, and it seems like she is acting at this point. And I think that there was something strange about the men not being able to meet with any of the men she has had encounters with. Blue was a little bit suspect because he has a son who he loves, and I'm sure he, as a man, thinks that it's strange that a woman presents herself and says she has a number of kids and she cannot or will not or does not want to engage the fathers of her children to meet a potential spouse.
That one other thing that kind of I wouldn't say necessarily surprised me, but kind of to me indicated or revealed just how Jeffrey thinks and why she may have had some of the issues in the past was how she responded to or about Blue's reaction to this. She felt like Blue didn't really represent himself well,
Right.
and
Which
I'm like,
is like,
I'm scratching my head to say,
okay,
okay, and
what
do you think
exactly
you are representing yourself very well at this point in time? Okay.
make
And
it
what is
make
it about
sense?
Blue? What is it about Blue that you find objectionable about the way that he's representing himself?
Make it make sense.
No, I can't make this one make sense. It
I
doesn't make sense to me, and it's
agree.
not going to. And I guess they got something out of it. And when I say they, I'm talking about Mark Anthony and Blue. Something constructive about her past. I
Well,
guess they got something out of it.
it helped Blue to make a decision on Jeffrey, and that is not clearly based on his response to her baby talk. That gnarly kind of, pretend kind of childlike voice she sometimes put on. It was just phony to me.
Right, right. Moving on, Marcia has an opportunity to connect or reconnect with her ex, Mark, to meet her two connections, Blue and Tony.
And I think based on we see, Marcia is self-conscious about wearing these overly sexual clothes because when ever she's in front of the camera, she keeps pulling and tugging, and surely she's a fashion designer and she has a mirror at home. Her bits and her pieces are making their own appearances
Well, I
because she needed pasties at one point in one of those outfits.
the 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 message that's being sent by this is talk to my chest and don't talk to me.
Right. Marcia meets with her ex, and he is Mark, I believe.
Yes,
And she said Mark is important to her. He's insightful. And Mark got to meet Tony
and
and
Blue.
Blue.
Mm.
Blue came through and he basically told her that she's not in the top tier. She is number two so far. And she was not feeling that. It was like deuces, dude.
On the other hand, she said that from her perspective, that Tony was strong but prideful. Okay,
Yes. And
and
she said he was
he
an
was
alpha male.
right, who's very assertive, and that was, I guess, appealing to her.
Right. Is appropriate.
Yeah, at the end of this process, she was very unsure, and I can see that. I can
Well,
see that.
she canceled Blue out, so she's left with Tony, one way or the other.
Mercedes got her opportunity to invite her exes as
And
well,
Mercedes came through with Aman. She said that they're good friends now.
and
And Aman was able to meet
Mark Anthony,
Mac Anthony.
Mark Anthony, and Anthony.
It seemed like Anthony got his ish together. He was talking about organization, communication, uh, and it seemed like he was just breaking down everything while Mark Anthony wasn't coming across as if he was authentic. He was using those key phrases that he probably used to use and will continue to use,
Player
and
lines,
he didn't seem authentic to Ahmed.
player lines.
Exactly.
But on the other end of the spectrum, Anthony said that during the course of their conversation that he felt like he and Mercedes were opposites, and opposites attract,
Right.
and that was one of the reasons why he was, I guess, pursuing, a possible, connection with Mercedes.
Correct. And at the end of it, Almond said that Anthony seems like he is the whole package. He's confident and he's ready for life and whatever life brings. Meanwhile, he gets the feeling that uh Mark Anthony be using some, maybe he's a little swift with his words. That was his comment. Swift with his words. And that's not a good comment about Mark Anthony at all.
Yeah, I like it. I think he in this instance, he was right on point
Yes.
with the analysis.
Then
Suanne gets her opportunity to meet with her ex, who is Paul,
mhm.
and Suanne obviously invites her, I guess what she describes as her strongest connection, Blake, and her second strongest connection, Anthony, to meet with her ex, Paul.
And Anthony, of course, is smooth with his. He seems sincere about what he's saying. At least that's what it appears to be. Blake comes through dressed to the nines, polished, but Blake is all about game. But Brother Blake got a couple of things to learn.
To me, he came off as being this
Arrogant again.
philosophical, above it all kind of dude
Yes.
who thinks that his ish don't stink.
Evidently, Suan has a large family, and he said he got to check out the synergy of the family and find out whether he can work with that or not.
And that was used as one of the determining factors to whether or not he would pursue
He's
a relationship.
exactly,
And I'm like, you know what?
exactly.
This is philosophical BS
Yes,
from my vantage point.
yes.
Okay, it's all smoke. It's all faux smoke that he's blowing to try to sound intelligent or above it all. Okay, I
It
didn't buy into any of it.
some dude in prison who have a lot of
The Damon Wayans playing the character on In Living Color.
words, but he doesn't understand what the words mean, and he laces them, strings them all together, and nobody knows what he's talking about. Blake's conversation reminds me of that character.
Was it something Bates?
Yes,
Something Bates
yes,
is the name of that.
yes.
It'll come to me,
Yeah, we were
but
clowning that guy, that football player.
Walker,
We were clowning Herschel Walker at one point because
because
he
he was
felt
described
like
as a combination of Antoine no, of Mushmouth
mushmouth meets
something Bates. What I can't remember his first name, but that I thought was extremely accurate. But yeah, he uses
he's using words that
words
he doesn't
that sound
understand. That sounds
that make
great.
him that he feels like makes him sound articulate, but he ain't saying nothing.
That's all we're gonna say about that.
Yeah, Oswald Bates
Oswald
is his
Bates.
name.
That's
I
correct.
remembered it. Yep.
Oswald Bates.
Yeah. It was interesting to say the least. But Paul says that he likes Anthony's vibe, and he doesn't. And Blake reminds him of
Of
where
him
he
when
used
he
to be
was 20
20
years
years
ago.
ago when he was out there being the player playing Mac.
Exactly. So And Blake, thinks that he's doing something, but clearly he's not.
Yeah. Then
So
Gray actually gets a chance to meet with Jeffrey because she has identified him as one of her strongest connections. So,
give me small bites. I love small bites, baby, 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 please. Small bites.
well, I'm gonna say she's feeding us, the viewers, a whole bunch of what? Something that we're all choking on and gagging on because it's fake.
She talking to a grown man like if he's a 2-year-old child. Oh, I'm a baby. I'm a baby.
Mhm.
God, it makes my skin crawl.
Yeah. And then she says in her confessional that she's so smitten with Dre that she's asking herself, when are we getting married?
Yeah, she goes to Dre's house. He lives in a nice spot on the water, and she is just just promoting herself, and of course she wants him to feed her. The food is too hot, yada yada yada, and he's just lapping that ish up. So they had their first kiss, and he seemed to be smitten with her. And she, at the end of it, she's asking about the marriage question. I wish her well.
The ladies ultimately decide that Blue
Blue,
and Blake
Blake.
are the two guys that are up for possible elimination.
Blake reveals his hand. He did not contact Suanne regarding the meeting she had with the ex and him, and he claimed that the he could tell that the ex was gonna give her some negativity about him. So how much is he really into Suanne, and he hasn't contacted her for a solid week? I don't know. I'm just saying.
Well,
Sue needs to make some adjustments.
I think he referenced it in that meeting. Um, from my end, he views Suanne as a teammate, not
Mhm.
necessarily as a potential, love interest or companion. He
Right,
views her as a teammate to get through this process.
right. He just wants to go to the end.
Right.
But in the end, Blue ended up going home. Blue said that no one took the top spot for him. They were all number twos, and as a result, he is good with that. He doesn't want to pretend that being smitten by any of the women when he's not, and he's just gonna be true to himself. And I say, all right, brother. That's a okay with me.
Yeah, apparently none of the sexy six, as described by nephew Tommy, really did anything to float his boat.
Right. That's all we have about um Ready to Love.
And it's all over this all over the place type of episode.